Thank you for joining Midweek with Max. I'm going to turn the floor over to you to talk about your project, your elder god, and whatever the hell else you got going on over there. So take it away, sir.
I'm merely just a messenger, so I will share my message. It was unbelievable. First, a number entered my 444, and I saw millions of PFPs swirling all around me, and then suddenly, I stood still. A voice from above said, "Prepare your sacrifice. Let go of the mistakes of the past. Your regret burned away. You become a prophet." I'm not a superstitious, spiritual person, but then immediately after this vision, I saw on Twitter someone tweeting about the project, expected 444 supply. I checked the Twitter and joined the Discord, and I see sacrifice reduction 444. So I'm here to tell you, a believer, the brothers have taken me into the community. They showed me at the beginning of this year. I think they need some more. Solution that should have Ethereum PFP ready to sacrifice to the Almighty. So I'm here to listen, because honestly it can't get worse, so it's gotta get much better.
Okay. So that was really ominous. I think your voice was so low that Discord was struggling to pick it up, but I heard 444 and sacrifice many times. Which would you like to recap what you just said and maybe not so low so Discord can hear you?
Can you hear me now? Is this a better pitch?
This is a way better pitch. I don't know what that was, but the elder gods were certainly speaking through you, sir. So by all
The
means,
elder gods have been speaking through me. And let me
so
do a little recap. So
please
I'm
recap.
simply just a messenger. I'm simply just a messenger. I saw a vision and it was 444. And then I was scrolling on Twitter and I saw a new project called Sacred Waste. And I also saw the number 444. I'm suspecting it's the supply. So I joined the Twitter, I joined the Discord, and I continuously see sacrifice, redemption, and 444 everywhere. So I'm here to tell you that I'm a believer and that the brothers have taken me into their community, and they've assured me that the beginning is near. And I think they mean tomorrow. They also mentioned that I should have an Ethereum PFP ready to sacrifice to the Almighty. So I'm going to listen. It can't get worse, so it's got to get much better.
Okay, so that was much more clear. So PFP, and then I feel like the elder gods were oddly specific when they said the beginning is near, most likely tomorrow. So
It was a
so
very
we'll go
clear
with that.
vision.
That's totally fair. So why Hemi, and what is happening between Sacred Waste and Hemi? Is there anything you can share there?
So we have plans to put contracts and integrate the Hemi blockchain into the Sacred Waste project, or so I've been told. And that is just a few weeks away. So we wanted to come in and share the message with our grateful brothers and maybe grab 444 of you and bring them over.
All right. Well, that is equal parts terrifying and exciting. So, everyone, amigos and amigas alike, please check out the Sacred Waste Project. I'm sure some of the brothers will be sharing their Discord link as well as their X handle. So please follow them because something ominous is coming, and it involves the sacrifice of PFPs. From what I'm understanding, given the elder gods are not speaking through me, I am just trying to. I am but a vessel. So that's it. Thank you so
Thank you,
much for
Brother
joining
Rick.
us. Thank you, brother. We really appreciate you coming on today.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Now that the terror has subsided, thank you, everyone, and welcome to your regularly scheduled program, Midweek with Max. I'm joined by JC, Joshua, John Greenwood, and of course our co-founder, Max Sanchez. So, Max, if you are not too terrified, please hit us with the weekly update.
All right, let's get into it. So let's see. Engineering side, I'm doing a lot of work on ZK provability as usual. We've also got everything merged in for the Hemi Network V2 release with Fusaka compatibility for testnet. So we're getting that staged basically right now as we speak, and we should be getting that deployed shortly. It is not a breaking change, so if you're running a testnet node, you do not need to immediately upgrade, but we will be posting instructions for people to update their nodes to V2, benefit from the simplified architecture, and start playing around with the new pop miner that connects to TBC instead of BFG. So we'll be releasing info on that imminently. There's also a Hippo in the Hippos repo, Hippo 3, that talks about very briefly the changes coming in V2, the motivation for it. So working on getting that shipped to testnet. Assuming that looks good, we'll get that shipped to mainnet in the next week or two. As soon as we get the V2 release out, we'll also be updating to the new pop payout algorithm, excuse me, on testnet. So stay tuned for that in the next day or two here. And let's see, beyond that, we also have some updates. We are moving to Bugcrowd for our bug bounty program. So that should be up in the next day-ish, moving from HackerOne to Bugcrowd. So just a informational FYI, if you do find any bugs, that is now the place to report them. Bugs, security issues, whatnot. And with that, I will turn it over to Rick and we'll start going through questions. But also on the VBK side, I posted in chat. We will be getting that up very shortly for the VBK claims process. Had some other stuff last week that took priority, but we are working on getting that out shortly.
All right. Thank you, sir. Before we move into questions, I just want to point everyone's attention towards the announcement channel and just a friendly safety reminder that our Telegram group was closed months ago. There was an announcement regarding it. All official Hemi support should be going through Discord. So if you see anything on Telegram claiming to be official Hemi support, it's sketch and use your own judgment. It's not official. So please be safe out there.
Yeah, also, doesn't any time someone ever puts the word official in their handle for something, I feel like that almost always means you're some goddamn scammer. Like it
Yes.
just like
Yeah.
does anyone legit, do that?
It's like when people claim to be like a social media guru on LinkedIn. It's like, are you though? Like if you have to put guru in your title, like really? I
I
don't
mean,
know.
I briefly had ancient astronaut theorist on my LinkedIn.
Well, you also have black hole scientist, but you know,
But yeah,
that's not here nor there.
social media guru may be a sign that no.
Yeah,
That get the
it's
hell off my
sketch.
social media.
All right, let's get into questions. When will incentive season
For
2
season
begin?
2, essentially right now we're just focused on liquid incentives. So we have tons of Merkle campaigns. There's a link on the main Hemi website that links to all the Merkle campaigns. So that's effectively what is now sort of season 2. We will be announcing more incentives and other stuff beyond that, but we're moving beyond the season points meta, kind of like we've been talking about in past weeks, to more just direct liquid incentives. So I don't know if John has anything to add to that, but stay tuned for more incentives. But for now, primarily focus on all of the liquidity incentives that we're putting in through Merkle.
Yeah, still echo everything that Max just said. Working on something slightly more robust, but I don't have a timeline at this moment. Still focused primarily on liquids. It makes the most sense in the short term. Instantly get rewarded in real time. So would highly recommend taking advantage of those as we look for something more robust for the future.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. Let's see. We asked that. Max has addressed VBK. Oh, here we go. It would not be midweek with Max without this question. When will the
Coming
OG
soon. I
role
think Josh
be
was just
available?
fixing a couple of
Take
UI
it away,
issues.
engineering.
So we should have that in the very near future, but I'll throw it over to Josh if he wants to give a more detailed update, either in chat or by voice.
Yeah, we're still working on the Discord wallet linking system. Most of the front end is working. We're just making sure that there is as little bugs as we can, and the back end should be ready for deployment very soon. After that, we will be working on the Hemi helper bot section of the role, which will allow claiming. So it's coming very soon.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen. On to the section called Hemi. Okay. I assumed every section was that, but the hell do I know? What
Good
utility
question.
does
So
the Hemi
we've
token
talked quite a bit in
have,
past
and
weeks
what will
about
drive its
the
value
sort
going
of
forward?
end goal of this converged staking system. Probably better name in the future, but converged staking system based around VE Hemi NFT positions. So most of the value creation around the Hemi token is going to be through that. And so that's going to be used as economic collateral for all kinds of different decentralization aspects of the network, from anything from decentralized sequencing, publishing, batching, participating in HBitVM covenant emulation, or BitVM vaults in the future for the Bitcoin tunnel, providing cross-chain liquidity. We're working on some things with MinerFi that are going to make onboarding and offboarding Bitcoin and automatically putting Bitcoin into different yield strategies easier. So providing liquidity and economic security to that system. So as all of those different parts of the protocol create value, in addition to the protocol fees, which we already announced, the 4 phases of the protocol revenue distribution to VE Hemi stakers, all of that basically collectively is the economic model for driving value creation from these decentralized protocols back into VE Hemi stakers who are providing economic security that makes those systems possible.
All right.
So can't talk directly to that because there's a lot of
Speaking
different
of VE
factors.
Hemi,
You can
what is the
estimate
estimated
APY
rewards or
currently by looking at
APY of
the
VE Hemi
last
staking?
distribution we did to VE Hemi stakers of protocol revenue for the last 2 months of the network protocol fees. Going forward, that APY is going to change a lot depending on tons of different factors. As we introduce those new decentralized aspects of the protocol and those generate their own revenue, that's going to add to the APY. And as people stake Hemi into VE Hemi, depending on the length of their positions, that's also going to decrease APY because there's more users participating. So it'll find a natural market equilibrium, but can't estimate actual numbers because it depends on so many input and output factors. We will be adding an APY estimate based on current protocol fees to the UI in the near future. So I'll give some idea, but again, there's a lot of variable inputs to it, and it's going to change a lot over time as we get through the 4 phases in the current economic model and launch those other decentralized features that create additional revenue sources for VE Hemi staking. Also, just speaking on the mechanics real quick, there's going to be 2 different sources of revenue from VE Hemi staking eventually. So there's going to be the base revenue, which is what's currently active with Hippo 2 and the current economic model. And then there's going to be additional APY that you receive if you opt in or restake, quote unquote, your VE Hemi to participate in those protocols. So, for example, if you just staked VE Hemi and then you don't participate in governance, you don't participate in decentralized sequencing, HBitVM covenant emulation, all of that, you'd just be getting the base APY, but then each of those protocols that you opt into and participate in, which could need anything from liquidity and other tokens for cross-chain liquidity systems to running a sequencing node and producing blocks for the network and attesting to them, all of those things would be additional APY for the protocols that you opt into and participate in. So we'll announce a more formal schedule in the near future. We're roughly thinking every 2 weeks initially, and then that'll
Alright,
increase
thank you,
over
sir.
time as we automate and decentralize more
Well, we are
parts of the
still on
system.
VE Hemi.
But
When will
stay
new
tuned for an
staking
announcement on that,
rewards be
but
distributed?
expect anywhere from monthly to bi-weekly in the very near future. That is something we've looked into. So short answer, yes, we do want to support that feature. It's a
All
little more
right.
complicated because
Still
all
on
of
VE
Hemi
Hemi. Since
positions,
multi-claim is not
the reason they're
available
NFTs
because
in the
of
first
gas
place is 'cause they're
limitations, would it be
non-fungible.
possible
Each
to
of them
allow
represents
merging
an
of VE
independent
Hemi
position with its own
NFTs?
lock schedule, and so doing stuff like merging becomes difficult because you have to essentially merge two different unlock schedules for the tokens in the position. So it is something we do want to support, but it's not exactly trivial to enable. So stay tuned for that. It is something we're looking into to make position management easier. But again, the different durations of each position make it a little bit difficult. So we're looking at a way we can merge that over epoch, so we could basically round up positions to align with the 6-day epoch of the VE Hemi position, and then allow merging on that. And you would potentially be taking a few extra days of lockup time on the closer position that you're merging into the further away position, but that's not a ideal solution. So we're looking at other ways to do that. So you do not automatically receive them. You'll always have to actively claim the rewards on the position. There will be a
All right. Still
claim
in
period,
VE
and
Hemi
if
land,
you're outside the claim
what
period,
happens
which
to
is
unclaimed
something
VE
on the
Hemi
order of
rewards?
probably 3
Do
to
you
6 months,
automatically
the
receive
rewards
them when
will
the
roll
locking
back
period
into the
ends?
protocol owned liquidity pool or the short-term pool, and so you do want to be claiming rewards regularly. If you do not claim the rewards within the claim period that the rewards are available for, again, they roll back into the protocol, so you do not automatically get them at the end of the locking period. There's also, you do want to claim them before you unstake your position, but we are going to be adding an update that lets people claim uncollected rewards for recently unstaked positions. Very soon, probably in the next 1 to 2 days here. So we're getting V2 shipped, and then as soon as V2 is shipped on testnet, we'll ship the updated
All
pop
right.
payouts
We are
algorithm on
moving
testnet.
into
Assuming that
engineering.
all looks good, we can probably
And
ship it on mainnet in the
again, it
next
would not be
week to
Midweek
10
with Max
days.
without this question. When will the new pop payout algorithm be implemented? Words I say to myself before I go to sleep.
Before the end of this week. This actually, I'm gonna have
All right.
JCV speak to this one.
When will previous pop rewards be made liquid? Jesus. All right. That's great news. Are there rate limits on the official Hemi RPC nodes?
Yes. We've always had some amount of limits, but not particularly clearly laid out. But ultimately, we're not trying to be RPC providers, and we have some actual professionals RPC providers rather than our just doing whatever the hell we do on it. So we are adding more aggressive rate limits, and we will be upping those rate limits. I think we had decided on something like 600 a minute starting on December 1st, and then that's going to drop down to 120 per IP address, not 600 a minute for, across everyone, because that would be kind of nice. That would make our life easier, but we're not going to do that. And then on January 1st or thereabouts, it's going to be to 120 a minute. And at that point, basically what, people should be look at our docs and go to any of the, official third-party providers who are better at doing this. Our RPCs are there if, you're a one-off developer and you want to deploy something, if you just want to play around, if you have do sort of minor wallet stuff. But if you're running a protocol, if you're doing something big, the Hemi RPC, rpc.hemi.network, whatever it is not the best place for it, because we're not providing the kind of, service level that's meant for that. So very long answer to say we have minimal limits now. They're going to keep going bigger and bigger, or they're going to get smaller and smaller, I guess. So the limits will be increased to the point that, you really should be using something else going forward. But we're going to try to ramp it up to, we're not trying to screw anyone and cause problems and break all the shit everywhere. We just want to make sure that everybody is using the best provider for what we're doing and for what they're doing going forward, and make that, as painless as possible when RPC is involved. Using a computer, it's always going to be painful somehow, but we're not trying to make it worse.
All right. While the next question is for engineering, I have a gut feeling that JCV has some very strong opinions on this and a profanity-laced answer. So, what the hell? Here we go. Why does testnet regularly have issues, and what prevents these issues from affecting mainnet in the future?
Okay, so testnet has issues because what is the first word in the name testnet? I'll give you a hint. It's test. That is the entire purpose of that damn network. It is there for testing things. It's not run with any sort of, guarantee that it's going to keep working. What do we do to prevent mainnet from having these issues? We have testnet. That is what testnet is there for, goddammit. So testnet will never be perfectly stable, and it's not supposed to be. If you run a perfectly stable testnet that never has issues, then you're not testing shit on it. Look at Bitcoin testnet. They just had, or Bitcoin testnet 3, they just had a crazy reorg going on overnight that broke all sorts of things for all sorts of people.
Instability from
that's
Bitcoin
bad, right?
testnet
No,
issues,
that's good.
so
It's a
we are
testnet.
planning to
Testnet
upgrade
should be
network at
the
some
worst
point
case
to Bitcoin
scenario.
testnet 4, which is
It should be where
a
you
little more
prove
stable
that your
and
shit
would
can
let
work
people
when it's in an
experiment more with,
adversarial environment where things
HBK
break.
in an environment that's not constantly
And we
experiencing
prevent that
super
from
long
happening on
reorgs.
mainnet by
But that
doing it
does
on
also
testnet.
cause some issues because you have these massive reorgs where
Right.
you have a 100, 200, 300 block reorg, and you have the difficulty bomb where all of a sudden blocks are produced at an incredibly insane rate, which is, at the very beginning of the difficulty bomb, 100 to 200 times the potential amount of data processing that TBC needs to do versus what's actually expected in a mainnet environment. So those two issues inherited from testnet 3 also trickle into our own testnet stability.
Yeah, the difficulty bomb is one of those things where it sounded like a good idea. I totally get the logic behind it, but in practice, it leads to a testnet that deviates from mainnet in the way it works probably more than makes sense. And so that's the reason there's a testnet. One of the reasons there's a testnet for. So as much as I said you want testnet to be adversarial, the difficulty bomb may have been one where it didn't exactly hit the stated goal. It makes it less analogous to mainnet than it should have been. Even though there were good reasons behind it. Like, I get it. It's not, the Bitcoin core devs are, they're smart. They're not always cooperative, but they are smart. So I get why they did it. I even probably agreed with it at the time. It's just, so unfortunately, when things hit the real world, they don't always work the way you had hoped.
It's a good question. So there wouldn't be.
Now I want a
any
community
reason
collection
to
shirt that
support
says,
them with
what's the
POP other than
first
if you're going to
goddamn word in
inherit Bitcoin
testnet?
security
And on
through
the
Hemi
back it
potentially in
says
the future, but
test,
that'd be a
JCV.
protocol change they would have to decide on and adopt.
I might make that shirt.
For the
Could do a
tunnel
limited
system,
drop.
we did look briefly
All right.
at
Does
building
Hemi
a
plan to
simple tunnel
support
system
other
for
networks
clear
like Monero
Zcash,
or
so
Zcash
not
with its tunnel
shielded
or
Zcash
POP
tokens,
system?
but just the clear Zcash tokens. It is something we could add. It would probably be through The ideal way to do it would be through a L3 with Chain Builder in the future, where basically we would swap out Bitcoin under HVM to have Zcash or Monero under HVM with similar smart contract level access to those blockchain states, and then people could build more complex applications on top of that, whether that be a tunnel or a non-custodial DEX or whatever. So the end goal would be Chain Builder can provide people ways to add in native protocol level integrations with other chains and bring that into the Hemi ecosystem. Short term, we have looked briefly at doing something that's a little more basic to allow at least tunneling Zcash over, but it's not a priority on the current roadmap. That's a good question. There's a lot of different factors that go into this. So obviously having a secure build and release process, signed commits for anything important, any important repos. Without going into details, the way that we have our infrastructure orchestration set up to make sure
And there's my
that
unmute button.
only
Oh,
secure
right. Sorry
approved
about the
builds
delay there.
that multiple people have the
What
team have looked at
secure
actually get
development
deployed in
procedures
production,
are
both for
being
testnet
followed
and for
to
mainnet.
ensure the security
We're
of the Hemi
constantly working
network?
on improvements to that. So running automated checks for vulnerability disclosures for dependencies, dependency management systems, being able to automatically check dependency updates in GitHub CI/CD workflows. I'll throw it over to JC if he has anything else to add to that, but it's a iterative process, but what we have in place right now is already a pretty robust system for making sure that people are committing. It is actually the person who's committing what code they commit, and that things outside of our control, third-party dependencies, are being checked and analyzed before any sort of deployment to end users.
Yeah, and I can add there's a couple other things. One, we have a bug bounty program, which, yes, that's working after the fact, but it's still a, vital piece of keeping things secure. Two, we've been doing a fair amount of work on, the security of the container images we use and making sure that we, have the minimal things that only have what we expect. We, unit tests and other tests of our code, just because every bug is potentially a security bug. The idea that, that bug's harmless is bullshit. Like, every bug can eventually be chained in some way to cause a real problem. So we take every bug seriously, regardless of whether it's a security bug or, a quote unquote minor bug. What else do we do? We try to do all of our work in a language. I'll say there's no such thing as a secure language, but someone will argue with me on that, and I'd love to get into that argument. But there are languages that let you do secure things easier than others. And, for the core components of our network, we use Go, which is a language that allows you to write secure code. Again, I'm not going to say it's a secure language because I don't believe such a thing is possible. But there are languages that let you write secure code, and there are languages that make it harder. Go is a language that lets you be as secure as you want. So using Go is part of it's not just that it's what a lot of the daemons are written in. It's something that does increase our ability to write good, secure code. And those are, for the network, those are probably the main things we use. We try to, be pretty proactive in how we handle our infrastructure. And, we're working through a lot of internal processes to secure what we do and how all of our developers work. But those are sort of internal things that there's nothing too useful I could say about right now. And yes, Joshua, I was kind of giving someone the opening to say that there about a certain other language, but yeah, I think those are the big ones. There are probably other things I'm not thinking of because security is something that
Essentially
really
the
is
same answer as before, but it's a little more limited in scope. So
on everyone's mind
anything,
all of the time, and some of us
UI
it's on
front-end
our
related,
mind.
we have GitHub
taking up
systems
more and
that
more
check
of
for
it. But
vulnerabilities and dependencies. We have internal policies for how
yeah,
those
that is my answer
dependencies
there.
are updated to make sure that we're
All right.
not
Well, thank
updating
you.
to compromise NPM dependencies. So
We have
certain
answered that
things
one.
like having a
What
delay
ensures
around
the security of the
not
official
always
Hemi
not updating
websites and the
dependencies, leading
safety
edge
of
things
them
that have
for
not
Hemi
been
users? Another
adequately out
security
in the
question.
wild and studied and given people the opportunity to find that a package has been compromised and report it. So it's an iterative process. We're working on continual improvements to it, but all the standard sanity checks and smart security approaches you would use for NPM package management basically are the backbone of maintaining secure user-facing UI applications.
So, and just one sort of funny thing on the front end side. Many years ago, Marco and I did a website for a crypto project where we did the entire front end using Go. And it was not a great experience that I don't think either of us will ever want to repeat. There was just so many things missing. It was super secure, but it was hard as hell to make it do the things people expect a website to do these days. So, unfortunately, you got to fight with the language you got to use. So, but like Max said, for the most part, a lot of the answers to that are the same. The bug bounty means we have friendly yet adversarial eyes on all of our stuff on the web, which helps a lot also because, people catch things, and that's just a big part of keeping things secure because no matter what you do, you'll never get it
Somebody
perfect.
wants to be active in the bug bounty
And
program.
you just have to be responsive. And that's part of what bug bounties are there for.
On the topic of security, I just have to point out that my favorite comment from the week that I've seen in chat, not excluding all the 444s for Sacred Waste, is who's asking all these security questions? What are you up to, bro? So, shouts to Citizen Nath for that one. All right.
Yes. So, I was going to say, if you, the bug bounty program, if you do, that is a way you can get, real money for finding security problems in various sites. Our things should be live either now or very soon. Joshua would know the exact time on Bugcrowd. So please, if you are a security-minded person who is interested in this kind of stuff, get on the damn site and look for bugs and tell us about them in a responsible manner. And, we will work with you on bounties and fixing them and all that good stuff.
All right, this is a fun question.
What are you up to, bro?
As far
Just got
as
me. I don't know why that's so
what
funny. It's
parts
like,
of Hemi are being ZK approved.
oh, shit. All right.
Basically everything.
Brings us to
So
our next
the entire
question.
state transition function of the network.
Is that how to
and
say
all
it?
of the
All
data
right.
inputs
What
to it, which
parts of the
means
network are
derivation
being
of the Hemi L2 data
ZK
from Ethereum DN,
proved?
and then
Is it ZK proofed?
fork resolution
ZK
based on top of
proven?
that. We're also ZK
What?
proving parts of other networks.
Whatever.
And so one of the
What parts of the
big
network
challenges
are
in
being
ZK proving Hemi is
ZK
ZK proving Bitcoin
proven?
itself, and not just
That might
Bitcoin
not be
consensus,
accurate.
which is
And how
pretty
can
trivial
these
to ZK
proofs
prove,
be
but
used by
the entire
applications?
hundreds of gigabytes of data that comprise the indexed Bitcoin state that we use inside of TBC that HBK and HVM talk to. So ZK proving basically all of Bitcoin, including everything that we index in Bitcoin that TBC has access to or visibility of, and then rolling that into ZK proofs of the EVM state transition function. So there's existing code out there for ZK proving EVMs and also ZK proving optimistic style rollup DA chain derivation. So there's a project done by the RISC-0 team that does that. There's also another project that does very similar things from the SP1 team. So we're going to be using and updating some of those components to be compatible with the Hemi network. And so essentially ZK proving everything from a block is created by a valid sequencer to it gets included in Ethereum in DA to from the DA derivation that is a valid block on the canonical chain via fork resolution to then processing that block transition state from the previous state to the new EVM state. And that includes processing HVM precompile calls, which requires ZK proving things about the Bitcoin data indexer that's embedded in the EVM through TBC. The fun part of this question is how can it be used by other applications? So one of the things that we're doing on the ZK provability side is making everything very modular. And so the ZK proofs of a Bitcoin state transition is different from the ZK proofs against the resulting state of data that's indexed by the Bitcoin indexer. Those are separate from, or they're rolled into, but they're also separate from ZK proofs of the state transition of the HVM actually including all of the transactions in a block and what changes happen to the Ethereum state tree that Hemi maintains as part of its EVM. And those are also separate from the ZK proofs that we're generating of Ethereum consensus state and Ethereum DA. And so basically, you can remix those proofs in interesting ways and use them for different applications. So for example, if you wanted to build a more secure Bitcoin light client, you could look at just ZK proof it, just using the ZK proofs of Bitcoin state transitions and proofs of queries against that indexed Bitcoin state. And you could ignore all the other bits about state progression, EVM, consensus proofs, all of that, and just use those Bitcoin proofs in a new way that lets you ZK proof things about the Bitcoin network itself. On the other side, if you're building, say, a cross-chain interoperability protocol that's validating lightweight Ethereum state, you could use just the Ethereum consensus proofs to make that system more secure. So one of the things that we're doing with, it goes beyond ZK proving, but as part of the whole bundle of features that basically comprise HBit VM is we're updating the POP system to have two different types of POP publications. So there's what we have currently, which is POP publications of Hemi state to Bitcoin, but we're also going to be introducing publications of Ethereum consensus state to Bitcoin with enough data in there to slash a misbehaving party who makes a fake Ethereum chain. So one of the things that if you zoom out a little bit and kind of look at the history of how Ethereum proof of stake evolved, the original thinking was that if somebody were to reorganize the network, if they were to fork it, they would of course need to control the majority of staking power on the network, but also in releasing their alternate chain, they would be conflicting with blocks and attestations that they made for the main chain. And so there would be enough data there for somebody to be a whistleblower and say, hey, this validator created this block on the current public Ethereum network, but then they also broadcast this conflicting block. So they sign two conflicting blocks. You have cryptographic proof they misbehaved. You can give that to the protocol and then slash the user. But in ZK context, that's not the case, and it's sort of by definition in the word ZK of zero knowledge of what this attacking Ethereum chain looks like. You just know that there is a valid Ethereum chain that was made with the majority of consensus power that's able to finalize blocks. And so in a ZK context, when you're validating proofs of Ethereum state, you're not getting all the data you need to slash somebody who's misbehaving and producing an alternate chain or creating an attacking chain that pretends Ethereum looks a different way than it actually does to people who are running full nodes synchronized with the Ethereum network. And so with this new POP system, basically we're taking all of that data that's not available in the ZK proof, and we're putting that on Bitcoin that nobody could construct an alternate Ethereum chain, even if they did control the majority or supermajority of consensus power, either now or at some point in the relatively recent past. So all of that data that would be required to slash them is now published to Bitcoin, and that basically allows you to create more secure ZK proofs of Ethereum state. that can't be forged even by a malicious adversary who's creating a private chain with the supermajority of Ethereum consensus. And so there's all sorts of cool use cases for that forgeability with Ethereum if you have nothing to do with Hemi or Bitcoin itself. Was it August 29th?
All right. Thank you, sir. Well, I got a throwback question. We're just gonna throw it out there. Max, when TGE? Perfect. That was not a trick question, by the way. That was a legit question. So, all right. So now, I think we have come to the end of questions. Let's get Alex up here for community update. All right. Take it away, sir.
Hello guys, welcome for this community order. No.
Oh no, not you too.
I try a joke, but it's not my day. Okay, no, for this community update that will be really quick. I just post in the chat the Hemi merge store. The team just opened a community part, so you can find really good stuff on this link. So just buy some on the show your swag in the street. And I want after it we will manage a Rumble session game on air. So I just want to invite all users, all Hemi community to participate in. There will be some air token shared between the participants. So come and come have fun with us. That's all. That's all for me.
All right. Thank you very much, sir. Also, speaking of Rumble, while we probably won't have that one, the mods are going to be getting some games going within the Hemi Discord server. So if there are games that you guys want to see being played that don't require external bots, please feel free to pester the mods about them and let them know and let your voice be heard. So that's going to be happening soon. Also, yes, Rumble will be played on the Hair server following Midweek with Max. So beyond that, we will have weekly contests, hopefully starting this
All right,
week,
awesome.
if not
Thanks everyone
next
for
week.
joining
They're
us this
going to
week.
be
Stay tuned for
just
the updated
meme
instructions
contests for the
for
most part,
V2
but you'll be
update
able
on
to
testnet
win
if you are running a
probably a
testnet
mug.
node. That should be coming out in the next day or two
Potentially
here
get
as
a
we get
roll.
that
We're
deployed on our own
still
infrastructure.
discussing that.
Also, stay tuned for
But
the
like I said,
updated
the
top payouts on
games will
testnet,
be
so you can
coming
begin playing
soon,
around with
and
that
that will have a
before
gamer
the end of
role
this
for
week.
people like
And
Foxstar and
we will see
Miracle
everyone
and
next
other
week.
role collectors. And we will be having a design, an unofficial logo for the Hippo contest. That's a JCV special that he requested, and we are going to honor said request. But with that, I just want to say thank you to the entire community, to our entire moderation team who are doing incredible work all the time. And let me kick it over to Max, JCV, Josh, and John Greenwood for outros. Thank you all so much, and a reminder
Thanks,
to
everyone.
check out the Sacred Waste Discord and their official X account. And one last thing, pay attention to the announcement channel, everyone. Remember, if it says official, it's probably scammy, especially if it's on Telegram. All official Hemi Biz goes through Discord and our website only. So please be safe out there.
If it's on Telegram, it's probably sketchy.
John raises a very good point.
Like
Yeah,
the entire platform.
Yeah. It's probably not too far from the truth. But now that we've besmirched Telegram's good name, let's. Well, I don't know if it's a good name, but what the hell? I'm just rambling, so let's get the hell out of here. Thank you all so much. We'll see you next week.